Welcome to the Author's Edge radio show with Guy L. Freer and Bob Price. Now, their show airs nationwide on the My Genre Radio Network, Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. and 7 p.m. Each week on their show, they help authors create books that transform our lives and imaginations. Through radio excellence, they create a unique community resource, one that promotes, connects, and fosters a sense of well-being. Gael and Bob maintain a focus on sharing books, publishing, marketing, and writing solutions. They serve listeners by providing outlets for their creative skills and energies, and they help them flourish in the competitive marketplace. Their weekly show provides intros, writing spotlights, helps you in promoting your book, your writing, your publishing, your marketing tidbits, and much more. Okay, audience, here's Gael and Bob.
And I'm here, but sadly, Bob is not. Bob is at home dealing with sciatic nerve troubles. So I'm all by myself, but I do have my trusty husband with me. The driver, my husband, and I'm going to probably count on him just to keep me on the ground instead of floating away. Yes, and Mark will help me also, and maybe even keep me from saying too many of my favorite words that I say all the time. But I won't say it this time because I know they're going to start counting on me. So today we have Amy Rivera. Amy is a dedicated advocate and educator in the field of lymphedema management. I said that right?
You did.
Oh, good. Diagnosed with primary lymphedema, her personal experience with misdiagnosis and treatment challenges have fueled her commitment to raising awareness and improving care for others with this condition. She is the founder of Rivera Hybrid Solutions and the Ninjas, I like that, the Ninjas Fighting Lymphedema Foundation, platforms that offer innovative solutions like Fast and Go hybrid compression bandages and educational resources such as lymphedema blueprint courses. Amy also contributes to the community through her authorship, including books like Drop the Skirt, How My Disability Became My Superpower, which I also like that, which details her personal journey and challenges with lymphedema, and the first lymphedema anthology titled You Are Not Alone, which shares diverse experiences from those affected by lymphedema. Additionally, her impact in the community and healthcare has earned her recognition as one of St. Louis's rising stars, highlighting her significant contributions to improving patient care and advocacy. So, welcome, Amy.
Thank you.
Now, can you tell us about your journey with lymphedema? I am saying it right.
Lymphedema.
Lymphedema.
Yeah.
Lymphedema.
Lymphedema.
Okay. Lymphedema.
Mhm.
Okay.
You're not going to use cancel though, right?
No. No.
With your words. I'm just kidding. So, yes, I'm from St. Louis, born and raised. And I was born with a rare disease called primary lymphedema.
Okay.
However, I was misdiagnosed for over 30 years. So we didn't really know that's what it was when I was an infant.
How do you misdiagnose something like that?
That was a question that lingered in my life for a very long time. And what I found out was that physicians only learn about 20 minutes of the lymphatic system in their medical career. So my parents took me to Shriners, Mercy, Children, all the hospitals in the St. Louis area to figure out what was going on with me. Because when I was born, it was the entire right side of my body that was swollen. So I looked like two different infants from the left and the right side. And that was at birth. And so the physicians at the hospital told my parents it was the way my mother carried me in the womb and that swelling would go away eventually. Well, some of the swelling did go away, everywhere except for in my right leg. And unfortunately, over the years of the doors being slammed in my parents' faces, trying to figure out what's going on, my leg continued to grow. And it grew to the point that it was 200% larger than my left leg.
Oh, my.
It was officially elephantitis stage.
And so then what?
The doctors told me it was just weird swelling. They used the word weird.
Weird swelling.
Weird swelling. One physician told my parents to put me on a diuretic, a water pill, when I was a teenager. So we did. And at that time, we did not know what we know now about diuretics and lymphedema, which they do not go hand in hand together. Diuretics help with general fluid, not lymphatic fluid. And because of the proteins that are in our lymphatic system, the diuretics removes that protein that we need. And so it causes more swelling and organ failure, possibly. So when I was a teenager, I started to experience some of those organ issues. And I immediately removed myself from it against everyone's wishes. And I noticed I started to feel better almost immediately after removing myself from the diuretics.
But then your leg would continue to swell.
It was going to swell either way. And so it continued to swell. And it got to the point where when I was in school, I was known as the girl with the big leg. And I'm from a small town, Hillsboro, Missouri. So everyone knows everyone. And I was always known from middle school to high school, the girl with the big leg.
And how did that affect you?
Oh, it humiliated me. I was isolated a lot, meaning I wasn't in groups of people at school. However, it also helped me be myself and be around other people. So I was nice to everybody because I knew what it was like to be made fun of.
Yeah, to be bullied.
To be bullied. Yeah.
So there must have been a lot of that going on.
There was a lot of that going on, not just from my peers, but from some of my teachers as well.
Oh, no.
They would just say rude things. Or I remember being picked last in the gym class for like where we used to play, dodgeball. I don't think we can do that anymore. But
no, we don't. Thank goodness. Because honestly,
yes.
I was picked last too.
Yeah.
And my problem was just not being coordinated.
Well, I wasn't, because if you could imagine me running with a large limb, I was not coordinated and I definitely was not fast.
Yeah.
But I was always picked last, and there would be comments from the teachers and things like that. And that they thought was funny or whatnot, but those comments stuck with me.
Oh, I would think so.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah.
And for girls, your body shape, all of that has a lot to do with your, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Luckily, I didn't have social media growing up, because that would have magnified it by 1,000 times of what I was going through mentally. I didn't know anyone who even looked like me until I was in my 30s. I didn't physically meet somebody.
Oh, my goodness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so how was that? I mean, what was that experience?
So prior to that, my family didn't know how to interact with me. My peers didn't know. Even my coworkers, when I was a teenager, no one really knew how to interact with me. And I didn't know how to explain what it was that I had because I didn't know what I had. So I had this amazing idea. And teenagers, we think we know everything. We have the answers to everything. And so...
Well... Don't you?
I mean, we do. Logically in our head, we're like, yeah, that makes sense. Why not?
Why not?
So I decided I was tired of being called elephant leg, girl with the elephant leg, girl with the big leg, all these names. So this paper came in the mail. I remember one day getting the mail, and I open it up, and it's to enter a pageant. And I thought, do I have to wear a bathing suit? That was the first question I had. Second one was, do I have to wear shorts? Because I didn't want to show my leg. But if I enter this pageant and I won, whatever that title was on that sash, people would forget what they used to call me, and they'd start calling me like the beauty queen. Hence the beauty queen with the big leg in the back of my book. Okay?
Right, I saw that.
Okay, so I go home and I go to my house, because I live on a farm, so I had quite a bit of a walk to gather the courage to ask my parents if I could do this, and they said, absolutely not. No way. Looking back at it, I know they were just trying to protect me.
Right.
But I fought, got under their skin, and I think I wore them down, and they said, okay.
Teenagers have that ability.
We do, right? We all, teenagers. So I have to remind myself of that with my children, right? So they finally said, okay. And I raised money to buy my dress. I raised money to sell tickets. I raised money for all of it because they were not going to help me.
Right.
So I raised the money, and they were like, you actually did this. They were probably thinking.
So you didn't have to wear shorts or a bathing suit for this?
No bathing suit, but I did have to wear shorts, and I did not know that until I got there.
Why?
So I get there and I see all these girls who have makeup artists and hairstylists. And I'm just this little old country girl trying to cover this leg and trying to make a new name for myself. I immediately looked at my mom, who had blue eyeshadow and stuck in the 80s. And, at the time, I'm like, she's my makeup artist. And these girls have professional makeup artists. I wanted to turn around and go back to the car, but I was more afraid of my parents than standing on that stage. So I didn't say a word because I had put them through it for 6 months trying to convince them to let me do this. So I get on the stage. Everything's great. The girls were actually really nice to me about my leg. I met a really nice family who was very, very kind to me. And even though I had to wear the shorts, I was in the back. So I was like, whew, people won't see my leg. But I get on the stage and I have to answer the question, what would I do if I won? And I had this whole speech ready. And of course, I'm wearing a long gown.
Uh-huh.
And I forget everything I had practiced.
Oh,
Everything.
no.
Oh, man.
No.
So I look out in the crowd and I just see my parents and my siblings that came. And I look down at the judges and they're just sitting there staring at me. And I thought, oh, boy, what am I going to do? And then I just told them why I was really there. I felt like I belonged in a circus. I was made fun of all the time. I was bullied, even though they can't see my disfigured body. I'm disfigured under the gown. And I just thought if I won this pageant, that people would forget that I was the girl with the elephant leg and they'd call me Miss Junior America. So I said what I had to say and I stepped back into the line and I just sat there. And I thought, well, I just blew this. And I'm just thinking of all the things I'm going to hear on the ride home. So we take a break. We go in the back. We get called up for the final, round. And they're just picking people to go get off the stage left and right. And I'm waiting for them to call my name just to go. And they're not calling me and they're not calling me. And it gets down to like 10 girls. And I'm still one of those 10 girls up there. And in the meantime, while they're calling people's names, I've already checked out. Like I failed. So I'm already gone, right? I'm looking at ankles and shoes because I'm like, I wish I could wear those heels. Oh, she's got a nice ankle bone. I had one good one, so I'm already just daydreaming and being a typical teenager. And they kept calling names and, I look and smile and then I just look down. It got to the last 3 and I'm there. And I don't hear anything at first. I don't remember anything. And then all of a sudden they said my name like twice. And I'm like, come to it. And I'm like, say my name. And I look and I realize I'm one of those few people up on that stage. And I look at my parents and their faces are just like, whoa. And they call my name. And I won the Miss Junior America it's called Miss Junior America Hostess, but it was the co-ed pageant that was held here in St. Louis. And I won that pageant. Couldn't believe it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness gracious.
And yeah, it was, I was not prepared for that. I was prepared to lose because I just totally bombed my speech.
Right.
And I sat there and they put the crown on me and the sash and the flowers. And all I could think about was, oh, wait till I get back to school.
Right.
Wait till I get back to school.
Right.
So I get back to school and the school puts my trophy. The trophy was big as me. The crown was huge. It was heavy. And the sash was blue and white, which matched my school colors.
Wonderful.
Because we were at Hillsboro Hawks. And I'm like, oh, this is going to
Wonderful.
go in the trophy case. See, I've never been able to play sports. And every time I was in high school, I see the trophy case. I see volleyball, basketball,
Right.
I'm like, man, one day I wish I was in that trophy case.
And now you are?
I was. I have the stuff now,
Right,
but I
right.
was in the trophy case. And I was really excited. So for 2 days, kids were congratulating me, teachers were congratulating me. They were just being very nice. And I thought, I did it. They forgot who I was. And then it went to, oh, you're the beauty queen with the big leg. Oh yeah. So
oh no.
oh yeah. Yeah. Which is
Oh,
a
my
title I
goodness.
wear very proud now, but it set me back a little bit.
I would, yeah.
It set me back. So I thought, oh, at least it's not the elephant leg. I mean, at least have a crown on it or something, a sash.
Oh my
It's not the elephant
gosh.
leg. But at this point, they weren't being facetious. They were just, that's how they knew me. You know, before they were being facetious, elephant leg and all these other things.
And mean.
And mean. But now it's just facts. I did win a pageant and I do have a big leg. And I realized that. And that really tore me apart because I was really leaning on being bullied, like, oh, you're, bullying me and this is going to change my situation. But the reality was no matter what I did, it wasn't going to change the situation. I had a big leg.
You had a big leg.
Mm-hmm.
And how do I live with that big leg?
Correct. And why do I have this big leg?
And how do I fix this big leg?
And how do I fix it?
And so how do you fix this big leg?
Well, I started off by firing physicians. And I say that lightly because I respect physicians. I respect the medical community. I come from the medical community. I was previously a nurse. And so I was disheartened when I wasn't listened to and gaslighted by my physician. And so when he told me there was nothing that I can do and my leg was going to continue to swell and that I would be in a wheelchair by the time I was 35 and to take a diuretic again, I realized that he didn't really understand the severity of my condition. So I fired him and I decided to figure it out myself.
Okay. You are listening to The Author's Edge with Gael Freer and Bob Price, coming to you weekly on Saturdays at 10 a.m. on KWHR 92.9 and KXOK 102.9 FM, and Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. and 7 p.m. nationwide on the My Genre Radio Network. You can also view our latest videos of past shows at authorsedge.com online and download valuable information on marketing and publishing. So, you fired your physicians.
I did. And I started Googling what I was called. Elephant leg, I Googled it. Big legs, swelling legs. And I was shocked to what I saw. I saw legs like mine. I couldn't believe it. However, they were in different parts of the world that I had never been to. They were in Africa. They were in Asia, or not Asia, Europe. They were... everything I read was from a parasite that caused this swelling. And the swelling started with an L and I could not say it. So I was writing it down, lymph. And I'm like, what the heck is this? So I had to keep pushing Google saying to help me pronounce it. I'm like, lymphedema. I did that for a very long time.
Right. Like I was doing.
Right.
Lymphedema.
I'm like, why couldn't you give me something I could say? Like arthritis or something.
Yeah, make it simple.
Make it simple. So I call my mom and I'm like, have you ever been out of the country? Did you eat something? I'm like, I'm thinking she gave me a parasite when she was pregnant with me because how else would I have this?
Right.
She thought I was crazy. What do you mean I've been out of the country? I told you earlier, like my parents went to Poplar Bluff.
Right. That was out of the country.
Right. That's for them. So she was like, what do you mean out of the country? And so I was really confused by this. And I continued to Google and I continued to search and I found a physician in Brazil and I found a physician in France. And I started at the time was Zooming with them. And that was way before COVID. This is back in 2013. And I'm just figuring things out. I didn't even know how to do a Zoom or anything. But as I talked to one of them, I showed them the picture of my leg and they said, oh, that's lymphedema. And I said, okay, I keep hearing this word. What does this mean? And they explained to me that most likely I have primary lymphedema, which is called, there's different types of primary lymphedema, but in my case, it's called Milroy's disease.
It's called, say it again.
Milroy's disease.
Milroy's.
Milroys disease.
Uh-huh.
Meaning I was born with a lymphatic dysfunction, and either I was missing lymph nodes or missing a lymphatic vessels, or I had a vascular issue. At that time, we didn't know which of what.
Okay.
Because I wasn't really diagnosed just yet. I just started learning what I could potentially have. So I couldn't get to France to see this physician. I couldn't get to Brazil. So do you have anybody in the States? And lo and behold, there's a physician in Chicago, 4 hours away from us. I said, what?
Oh,
you need to tell me there's a physician in Chicago? So I flew to Chicago. I met the physician. I had a test where they inject dye between your fingers and toes. It's very delightful.
Oh,
probably one of the most painful tests I've ever had.
Oh,
yeah.
Ouch.
And
Ouch.
what they do is they take imaging of your lymphatic system over a period of time to see where the dye has gone. And then that's where they see where the obstruction is, meaning it's stuck there. We did that, and it didn't go anywhere. It didn't go up my ankle. It didn't go anywhere. So they said, oh, you're missing an entire lymphatic system in your right leg. So you most definitely have Milroy's disease. And that was the first time I actually had a diagnosis. It was in 2013 when I was in my 30s.
And there's no cure.
There is no cure. So when she diagnosed me, I was really excited because I thought, if there's a name to what I'm dealing with, that means there's other people out there like myself. Come to find out, there's over 10 million Americans and 200 to 300 million people worldwide. And I said, wait a second. Why am I misdiagnosed then if there's so many people?
Absolutely.
And that's because the physicians, we don't, even as a nurse, I did not learn the importance of the lymphatic system. It is the main system in the body that helps control every other system and organ in our body.
So why aren't we taught that? Why aren't doctors given more information about that?
We're working on that. We're working on that. It's not their fault that they don't know, but it would be their fault if they don't learn. And so we're all human beings, and it's called practicing medicine for a reason. We're not going to know everything.
No.
But
if it's a basic, it's sort of like
I'm trying to give them some math here, right?
Like basic math, like multiplication table,
balancing your checkbook.
Yeah.
If something doesn't, if you don't have this money here, this is not going to work. Well, if you're missing something here, it's not going to work. I agree. So,
And I have utmost respect for the medical profession. They
Absolutely.
work hard. They work unreasonably hard. I mean, our expectations of the medical profession is overwhelming.
Absolutely. And again, it's not their fault that they don't know. We've been looking at lymphatics since the 1800s, but we never talk about it. So when I got the diagnosis, I felt like I won the lottery. I was so excited.
Okay, understandably.
But then she said, there's no cure, and it progressively gets worse. How much worse can it get than 200% larger than my other leg? Like my right leg being 200% larger than my left leg. I already have hip pains. I already have knee pains. I have numbness in my leg. I'm tired all the time. I'm full of toxins, and I can't partake in my children's life. How much worse can it get? But I wasn't willing to learn that. I said, oh no, we're going to reverse this. We're going to reverse this right now. She's like, oh, it's irreversible. Oh, I may always have the disease, but I'm going to,
we're going to work
this out one way or the other. We're going to figure this out. So that's what I started really focusing on, creating change.
Okay. Now we're going to stop here for a moment, and we're going to take a commercial break.
El Potro Restaurant and Market, located at 6920 Manchester Avenue, 1 block east of McCausland, offers the finest variety of Mexican and Central American groceries and goods. El Potro Restaurant serves authentic Mexican and Central American cuisine, including daily specials, not to mention the best horchata and tastiest margaritas in St. Louis. Open 7 days a week. El Potro, 6920 Manchester Avenue, 1 block east of McCausland.
The United States has a strong tradition of welcoming newcomers and refugees. The Welcome Corps is a new service opportunity for Americans inspired to welcome those seeking freedom and safety and in turn help strengthen their own communities. Welcome Corps is a public-private partnership that is inspired by what Americans represent to so many around the world, a beacon of hope and refuge. All it takes is a helping hand. Are you ready to learn more? Contact the International Institute of St. Louis at info@iistl.org or call 314-773-9090. That's info@iistl.org or call 314-773-9090. In 1857, the Dred Scott decision was a major legal event and catalyst that contributed to the Civil War. The decision declared that Dred Scott could not be free because he was not a citizen. The 14th Amendment, also called the Dred Scott Amendment, granted citizenship to all born or naturalized here in our country and was intended to overturn the U.S. Supreme Court decision on July 9, 1868. The Dred Scott Heritage Foundation is requesting a commemorative stamp to be issued from the U.S. Postal Service to recognize and remember the heritage of this amendment by issuing a stamp with the likeness of the man Dred Scott. But we need your support and the support of thousands of people who would like to see this happen. To achieve this goal, we ask you to download, sign, and share the one-page petition with others. To find the petition, please go to dredscottlives.org and click on the Dred Scott Petition Drive on the right side of the page.
Okay, and we are back with Amy Rivera, and we're talking about lymphedema. Lymphedema. And she was just about to start with,
What was I talking about?
oh, I don't know, because we had
Let me explain something. Brain fog does come with this condition. So.
Oh, okay, good. So then I'm great. Then that works perfect.
Don't worry. We were talking about how I started my journey with what I'm doing today. Right.
Okay. Yes.
See?
Yes.
Just like that.
I think so. Sounds good to me. Oh my goodness gracious.
All right.
So, well, actually, there was a couple of questions that came up while we were on commercial, and one was that you graduated. You were in the Miss the pageant at what time?
I was in the Miss Junior America pageant when in my junior year.
Right,
Mhm.
and then you are you have siblings?
I do. I am the oldest of 5.
And none of your siblings have this. Am I correct?
Correct.
But you have a daughter that does.
I do. So during my journey of figuring out what's wrong with Amy,
Okay.
I found that my condition is genetic and that it is also a vascular issue that runs on my mother's side of the family, which comes from her mother's side of the family. So it runs on the female side of the family primarily. I did have one great uncle who did develop it. However, we found out that my grandmother has it, my great-grandmother had it, my great-great-grandmother had it, but none of them knew what it was until I came along. They just thought it was just some swelling, and I actually found a picture of one of my grandmother's, I think it was her grandmother actually, was in a family photo, and it was black and white, but she could only put on one shoe, and she had to lift her leg up on a stool and cover it with her dress during this family photo. And I didn't know it. You couldn't see that, but my grandmother told me the story of it, and she said because her foot wouldn't fit in her shoe because it was so swollen. It was just one foot.
Is it always the right leg, or is...
Oh, no. It can affect any part of the body. So I have primary lymphedema, which is 0.2% of the population born with a dysfunction. But everybody in the world has a lymphatic system. And you have over between 7 and 800 lymph nodes that run through your body. So at any given point, if something's damaged in the lymphatic system or in the vessels, you can develop secondary lymphedema. For example, if you have radiation from cancer treatment, you can develop lymphedema. If you fall and you crush your lymphatics, maybe in your ankles, let's say I had a recipient who applied for my foundation, Ninjas Fighting Lymphedema Foundation, and she needed compression. She was bilateral, meaning she had lymphedema in both of her legs, and it was from a domestic violence situation 15 plus years ago, and she was pushed down a flight of stairs and developed secondary lymphedema from it. So it's really important for everyone to understand what the lymphatic system does, but it's even more important to understand what happens when it's missing or it's damaged or some kind of trauma happens to it. So that's really the journey I've been on, is educating not just people like myself who have it, but people who are healthy, because it's really important to understand about the lymphatic system.
Okay, so you now have, all right, so after you got your diagnosis and you started your journey on figuring it out.
I call it my reduction journey.
Meaning?
Because my right leg was 200% larger than my left leg. And I tell people, Google my name, Google Amy Rivera, and then type in leg. It's the famous picture that comes up. And it's my leg is huge and it looks like a tree trunk. Like it's that's what it looked like. And so my goal was to reduce the size of my leg. And I knew one day I would. I just knew, even as a child, I knew one day I would be okay. I didn't know how, I didn't know when, I didn't know the journey that was ahead of me, but in my heart, I knew I would be okay.
All right. So in between now, you've met your husband, and where'd you meet him?
So I was married previously, and my ex-husband and I owned a boxing gym. So here's where the Ninjas Fighting Lymphedema comes in. So we owned a boxing gym because both of us were big fans of MMA. I felt like I needed to let go of some aggression. So 30 plus years of it. So we purchased a gym that we used to go to. And my now husband used to go to that gym years ago. And he also liked martial arts and all this stuff. And we became friends over the years, and then we never talked again. And unfortunately, my husband and I had gotten divorced. He didn't. My now husband had no idea. And we were talking one day, and I finally just, asked him, hey, you want to hang out? Because I was safe. I felt safe with him. I didn't date a lot because of my leg, and I didn't share a whole lot of my journey or anything with anyone else. But because he knew who I was previously, he already knew of my leg. So I was comfortable enough to reach out years later and just have a chat. And now we're married, and he's the CEO of Rivera Hybrid Solutions, Ninjas Fighting Lymphedema, all these amazing things.
So then tell me about the Rivera
Hybrid Solutions.
Right.
So first we started Ninjas Fighting Lymphedema Foundation. I wanted to help people that were like myself. I saw 3 problems in the community during my journey figuring out what was going on with me. The first one was the lack of education, obviously. Second one was a lack of awareness and community. There was no community in my community. So was there a community in anyone else's community? And then the financial part of it. Insurance did not cover our compression at the time. They didn't want to cover our treatments. This is a lifelong disease, and we have to wear compression garments or bandages 24/7. I should say 23/7 because you don't want to wash with them, take a shower with them, but you have to wear them all the time because you will swell. I wear 2 layers of custom compression garments. Cost me $1,200 that I have to replace every 4 to 6 months.
Wow.
That's just garments. That's not including the treatment, which is called manual lymphatic drainage, where you have manual lymphatic drainage.
Which is?
So you go to an OT or a PT, primarily an OT. They have to be a certified lymphedema therapist, and they do a special massage on you that opens your lymphatic system, and they move the blocked fluid throughout the rest of your body so it can filter it out, and then your body releases it. You have to see them. And so insurance would only cover 20 to 25 sessions a year. Well, if I have to go 5 days a week, I've already eaten up in my first month all of my sessions. There's DME products such as pumps that sometimes we use at home. It's like compression pumps, and it helps move the fluid. Those can run from $7,000 to $15,000. So when I saw all of this, I said, "Oh, I'm going to make a change. This is why I have this. This is why I have this." And I also had the nursing background. I am going to do something.
Okay.
So I chose to name my foundation Ninjas Fighting Lymphedema because A, I liked martial arts. B, though, ninjas hide in plain sight. And so did I. And so did others. As I was talking to more people in the community, I realized my story was not unique. It was very, very similar to hundreds of thousands of others. And I wanted to change that. So I started the foundation to help with those immediate needs. Research is important, but we need something today and now for us as well. So that's why we created the foundation. That took off. I didn't realize how needed it was until my first year into it. And then I said, I have no idea what I'm doing. I have no idea.
Oh, I've always worked with the theory you jump in, learn to swim after.
You do. I knew how to put an NG tube in. I knew how to pull a Foley catheter, but I did not know how to run a business.
Well, but you knew 2/3 of what you needed to do.
And that was just to get up every day and show up.
Yep.
And so I started to really educate myself and understand the dynamics of why I'm doing what I'm doing and how to continue to do that. And that's where Rivera Hybrid Solutions came to play. I wanted to do more. I do want to do more. I want to create a synergy in the community where we bring the medical professionals and the patients together. There is a lack of communication between us, and the medical professionals feel attacked at times because the patient side of us are angry, upset. Why don't you know? Or they don't like the answers they hear. The medical professionals have spent all their lives going to school, getting into a lot of debt, doing what they love, helping people, are now feeling attacked. And so I wanted to create this environment where we respect one another and we listen to one another. And I also wanted to create innovate. We must innovate our treatments. As we innovate and learn more about this disease, we must innovate the treatment options.
Yeah, absolutely. You also have written a book, and I want to focus a little bit on that as well. That is Drop the Skirt. I love the title.
Thank you.
Love the title, Drop the Skirt. Can we see that? Okay.
Well,
tell us a little bit about that.
Well, my team was against that title at first.
Why?
Well, they didn't see it except for Andy and my public speaker, Fred, my public speaking coach. At first, everyone else was like, "We need to put your face out there. You're so pretty. You're so pretty."
Oh no!
It's not about my face.
It's not about your face. It's about the skirt.
It's about the skirt, and there's a story with that skirt.
But I love it. I thought this was so cool.
And then
and I'm somebody that's
When I explained my vision to my team, they're like, "Whoa!" It was like a light bulb. But at first, they're like, "What do you mean a skirt?" And so I used to hide my leg under long skirts and dresses.
That was why I love this concept.
Yes, because people were like, "Drop the skirt. Well, what are you wearing underneath?" That was the big question I got a lot. I'm like, "Wouldn't you like to see this compression?" But it was really the metaphor of
not hiding
it. So that skirt was the very skirt that I was wearing when my mindset shifted. I was working a corporate job here in St. Louis. So when I was a nurse, that was my calling. I wanted to help people.
Mm-hmm.
When I could no longer stand, more or less fit in scrubs, I had to give that calling up, and it broke me.
I can only imagine.
It's all I knew. I started out as an NA and a CNA, and I worked all the way up to that. I wanted to because I wanted to learn on every level how to take care of somebody so I
Right.
could be an excellent nurse. When I could no longer do that, I decided to go back to school and get my business degree.
Okay.
I said, well, if I can't be in the hospital, maybe I can run a hospital.
Right.
Well, I ended up working for a company here in St. Louis who has several different long-term care facilities and retirement communities and, all the amazing things for our family. And I was in the office, but it did not fulfill me.
Oh, I could.
It did not fulfill me.
Yes.
I'm like,
I understand that.
how do you work this fax machine? What do you mean I
No.
got to answer 9 phone lines?
Yeah. No, there's no way that would be fulfilling.
Even though nursing was much more stressful, this one, I was like,
No.
no. So I did it for a very long time, 10 years I did it.
Oh.
I did. I struggled through it, but I didn't know what I didn't know about myself at the time. And so one of the coworkers came to the office and we were talking, and I had asked her if she wanted to go swimming one day. Now, I had a whole plan when I went swimming. I wore a long swimming suit cover up. I had a towel next to the pool. I would sit at the edge of the pool, untie my cover up, and then slide into the pool thinking no one saw me. The whole pool probably saw me. But in my head, that's how I went swimming. So I didn't have to answer questions about my leg. So I asked her if she wanted to go swimming. Normally, people say yes or no.
Mm-hmm.
She says, is it a private or community pool? And I thought, well, that's kind of a weird question. I'm like, well, it's kind of both. It's in my subdivision, so you have to live in my subdivision to go to the pool. And the next thing that she said broke me. She said, fat girls don't swim in public pools. And that's what she said about herself.
You thought she was referring to you.
No. I knew she was referring to herself. And it broke my heart how she felt about herself, because I never perceived her that way. And I knew right then and there, if she was so wrong about how I perceived her, how wrong would I be about how others perceived me?
You. So I was thinking about your leg.
Yeah. Because in my mind, if I was to show you my leg, you're going to say all these awful things about me.
Right.
You're going to laugh at me. You're going to make these comments.
And she, oh my gosh.
It broke me. It broke me so much that I dropped the skirt, how my disability became my superpower, because at that very moment, I shared my secret with her. And I said, because I'm funny like this, some people don't think it's funny, but I think it's hilarious. I said, well, at least your fat's distributed evenly. And she,
I think it's funny.
yeah. And she said, what? She said, you're so skinny. What are you talking about? And I lifted up my skirt and I showed her the bottom part of my leg, which was massive. It was a tree trunk.
Uh-huh.
And she started laughing at me. And she said, this whole time I've known you, I thought you wore these skirts and dresses because you were religious.
That's honest.
I said, well, if I did that good of a job hiding my leg, what would I do if I shared it with people? What kind of impact would I have on others? And how would it impact my life? And that moment forward, that's all I ever focused on, because it still impacts my life, helping others, because I still have hard days. I still struggle. I'm a human being. And I didn't want to put my face on the cover of that book. So I was really glad when Andy said, I love that idea.
I love the cover of the book. I love the title of the book. I love the cover of the book. I thought it was just wonderful.
Thank you.
I thought it was especially with the whole concept of what you were doing with the leg. It just hit me. It was just like perfect.
Yeah, thank you.
I knew exactly what it meant.
I had a great mentor.
I know. He's our next guest.
Yeah.
Did I miss that? When did you publish the book, Amy?
2 years ago. Andy? 2 years ago.
Yeah.
3 years ago.
Yeah, and the whole idea of drop the skirt was because that's how she covered her leg.
I heard that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now I wear skirts only when I want to, which isn't very often, but sometimes. And they're only sundresses at this point.
But I loved it. When I saw the title, I was just like, that's just perfect.
Thank you.
That is a perfect title for that book.
I really didn't want my face on there for several reasons.
Why?
First reason was I wanted to connect with people. I want people from every age, race, gender, because men do read my book. I wanted people to understand. You don't have to have lymphedema to understand the words that are written in my book. You don't have to have a disease to feel the isolation in your life at one point in time. I wanted to connect with everyone. And I felt if I put my face on there, I would lose a lot of people that needed the light and the story that I wanted to share with them. That was the first reason. The second reason was because I was wearing that skirt. And I'm like, oh no, we're going to at least show this skirt. And that's really what we came up with.
It's wonderful. I thought that was such a good title for the book, and I love the fact that you put the skirt on the book.
Thank you. I mean,
really
yeah, and I
do.
still have that skirt.
You still do you wear it?
I do. Once in a while, like if we're going to a winery or something, I'll wear it, but
Mhm.
not as often as I used to.
Not as often. as you-
Mm-mm.
No.
No, I have a lot of them just sitting there. Maybe one day. I don't know.
But it's freedom.
It is.
It's freedom. The idea is now you can choose. And when you
Yeah.
have choice, it makes all the difference.
when you break those chains,
Yes.
it is a freedom that I can't even begin to describe. I almost say it's like burning the bras.
It is.
It is. It's a freedom.
It's a freedom.
It's a freedom that you just you
breathe.
breathe
Mhm.
and
You're safe. You breathe.
and
It's
you
the
just
world
don't
looks-
care.
And you don't care.
That's the main thing. You just don't care.
Right. You can tell the whole world what they can do in a handbasket.
Yeah, we're in a garment basket
Or in a garment. I like that.
because we have those. But yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely. So now where are you going from here?
Well, I did co-author the first anthology called Lymphedema United, which I partnered with a gentleman by the name of Matt in the UK. And what we did is we compiled stories from all over the world about lymphedema. Once I wrote my book, all of a sudden people wanted to share their story, which is the reason why you share your story. So we did that to raise money for Ninjas Fighting Lymphedema,
And
so
is
forth.
this been published yet?
it has been published. You can, I do. It's,
Yes, let me have it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, so we have Lymphedema United. You are not alone. So,
And those are the stories.
Those are the stories. This is our first volume. 34 different authors.
do you see it?
14 different countries.
Okay.
And we,
Volume 1.
volume
It's on
one.
Amazon,
It's
right?
on Amazon. I have a global initiative, and that is to connect everybody. And the first part of that is by sharing our stories, because everybody has a story. And the second part's the innovation. And then the third part,
Now, one of the things
I don't know yet. I have no idea what I'm going to do next. I just,
radio show.
yeah, I just go
There you
with
go.
it. A radio show.
Your own radio show.
Would it be men and women?
Yeah.
We could call it, well, I'd say Swell Sisters. We could call it Swell something. I don't know yet.
Say swell.
Welcome to the Leg Show. I'm Amy Rivera. You're a swell sister. No, I don't know. I want to live life. I want to experience everything I have not been able to. I even went skydiving.
Wow, that's cool.
It was a terrible idea, though.
Why?
Oh, this is a story.
Oh, tell.
Yes,
Pray
yes.
tell.
Now,
we have a few minutes.
okay, I'm going to do it again, but this time it's going to be different. So when I went skydiving the first time, after I got my diagnosis, I'm like, I'm liberated. I'm going to jump out of a plane. Right? Well, at the time it was with my ex-husband. We're like, yes, let's do this. So we go tandem. So this gentleman who was my instructor, had a smaller leg than his regular leg. So he had a condition where his leg didn't develop all the way. And here I come with my larger leg. I can't make this up. And I look at him. I said, no disrespect.
Was it his right leg?
It was his left. I go, but my leg's going to overpower us. Like, I can leg lift a lot. This is going to be a terrible idea. No, we'll be fine. We got it. I've done over, I forget how many jumps he's done, whatever. Okay, all right. And I'm very limber because I do yoga and everything. So the main thing was to be able to bend your knees back when you jump out of the plane, and to land, you had to keep your legs forward like you're sitting. So I'm like, oh, I got some ab muscles. I can do this. We get up to the sky, the air, and they open the door and I go, what am I doing? What am I doing? So just like the pageant, I wanted to turn around, but I was too afraid of the consequences at this point. So we go 1, 2, 3, and we jump, and we do like 3 flips, and which is normal. And then all of a sudden, we start spinning out of control. And I have my family down on the ground watching, and we have a videographer watching, and we're spinning out of control. And all I hear this guy say, and I'm not going to get us canceled, but it's the F-bomb. And I'm sitting here thinking, don't puke, because if you puke, it's going to go up and hit him, and he's going to puke on you, and then you're going to puke again. And I just had this whole puking session going on in my head, right? I had no idea my life was in danger. Gosh, this is really happening in my head. And then I see the videographer like stop videotaping. And I'm like, oh, this is bad. We had to pull the emergency chute because guess what happened? My leg took over, and we were going out of control. So we had to pull the emergency chute. Finally, we like stabilize. And I'm like, okay, don't puke. And he's like, are you okay? I'm like, are you okay? You're the professional over here dropping all these F-bombs in my ear. And he's like, I'm okay. Do you think you can land? I'm like, is it too late to ask that at this point? I go, but I got this. We land. And he said, oh, that was the best landing I ever had. Like, that was a really good landing. But then he got, unhooked himself, and he got up. He's like, are you all right? You could see he was shook. I'm clueless. So this is where ignorance is bliss for me. I'm clueless. I get back to the hangar, and the hangar. I'm like, where am I going? The hangar, and they're all sitting outside. They had their paper clips, everything, like their notes and stuff. They were ready to give me an insurance claim. Like, it was that bad. My family looked sick in the face, and they were like, you do not want to see this. You don't want to see this video. So eventually I watched the video. It was very dangerous, but it also taught me a lesson about life. When you're in turbulence and you're just going around and around and you don't know where you're going, don't puke, for one. Don't puke. Breathe and
watch the F-bombs.
And watch the F-bombs. But you never know what kind of landing you're going to have.
He had the best landing.
He had the best landing and the best story ever, I bet you. And that really taught me a lot about who I am. And I will do it again now that my leg is smaller. But those are the type of things I like to do. Not every day. Sometimes I just like to go for a walk. But I want to live life to the fullest with my kids, with my friends. Maybe it's sitting down and reading. Like you said, going to Paris. When I went to Europe, I loved Europe. I connected with myself. I connected with nature. I felt at home because I'm European, and things that my grandparents used to do, I saw other people doing, and it made sense. Finally, I'm like, after all these years, now I know why you said that. Those are the type of things I want to focus on. Memories.
That sounds wonderful. That just sounds so wonderful. So how do we get in touch with you when we want to get in touch with you?
Well, you can just look up the leg. No, I'm just kidding. You can.
I love your sense of humor.
Hey, I told you, I make jokes and people are like, oh, but if you can't laugh, then what do? Drop F-bombs?
If you can't laugh at yourself.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you can find me on riveramethod.com.
Yeah, that's what. Did you see the?
I did.
See the 4?
I did.
Yeah, it's absolutely
5. Okay, riveramethod.com. All my socials are on that site. Emails, everything is on riveramethod.com. You can find Drop the Skirt, How My Disability Became My Superpower on Amazon. And I'm a little bit everywhere. But Rivera, Rivera, method, METHOD.com.
Okay. I want to thank you so much for being on our show.
Thank
This
you.
has been absolutely delightful. We still have a few more minutes left. Is there anything else that you would like to chat about? Is there anything you would like?
Would you like? I mean, I could chat all day.
Is there something you would like? Did you have anything you wanted
No,
to
you're
tell?
winding up. My brain shut down.
Like in the pageant. My brain shut down. He's like, done.
Sandy has something to add.
I just got here. I do not know.
Andy's had a lot of me the past couple of years. So
But you're delightful. So
thank you.
absolutely
Yeah.
delightful. Okay, well, thank you all for being here and listening to us and tuning in to Author's Edge. Tune in again next week for more tips, resources, and your favorite conversations. Our next guest will be Andrew Doty, and we will be chatting about his company, Edit Right. Till then, see you around the inkwell.